What's going on, fighters? Hope you're all doing well. This is Wolfpack reporting for duty.
And this is Shamaro coming in.
And welcome to a brand new episode of True North Fighters. What a doozy this one is going to be, so y'all better strap in and hang on tight. But before we get started, Shamaro, we do have a little apology to put out to our listeners.
Yes, again, guys, we are very sorry for the debauchery that's been going on with the publication with the publishing of not just our podcast episodes but also our YouTube videos. It's been a bit it's been a bit of a learning curve trying to mesh both schedules together, and we and our publishing schedules suffered because of it. So we apologize if things were late, and I especially apologize since I'm the one managing the social media, and I have not been on the ball with that lately, unfortunately, just because things have been so busy. So we apologize for all the inconsistency that you've seen in the past week or so, but we are going to get back on the ball now, and you should be seeing more regularity from us in the future.
Yes.
So moving forward, you should be able to tune in and get regular episodes when they come out. And I will be sure to let you know when it comes out through the socials. Anyway, Wolf, we have had quite a stellar weekend these past few days. I think you have not only the Capcom Cup X Last Chance qualifiers to talk about with us, but I think you also said that Genesis X happened today.
Yes, that's right. It was definitely a very busy weekend. Last Chance qualifiers are now complete. The field for Capcom Cup X is now set. It was Problem X representing Great Britain who took the crown in the grand finals. He defeated Punk of the United States to secure the final spot. It was a matchup unlike any other. Problem X repping Blanca, Punk repping both Cammy and Luke. The first set ended in a 3-1 victory for Problem X, and the second set was a 3-0 sweep. So, with that said, Problem X fills in the final slot for Group H. For the group stage eliminations.
Get some European representation there.
Yep, it's going to be crazy. And speaking of the groups, for the stage eliminators, as we mentioned before, we have 3 Canadians competing for the $1 million prize, as well as being crowned the Capcom Cup World Champion. So, Joe Ume Rogan is our first Canadian. He's going to be competing in Group A, which is heavily stacked with a bunch of international talent. I'm talking the Dominican Republic, India, Germany, Norway, and Japan. So that is going to be a fire group to look after there. Same thing for Group D. Mike X is going to be competing in Group D. Again, bunch of international talent there. We're going to be seeing Mexico, South Korea, Belgium, France, and Japan in action for that group. And then in Group G, that is where Safe comes in. He is our final Canadian representative. He will be in Group G. He's going to be going up against talent from Brazil, Australia, and it looks like Italy as well for that particular group. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the group stage eliminators go. However, we all know that the Japanese are by far some of the most superior players when it comes to fighting games, and there were some serious shockers that honestly caught me off guard, and they are definitely going to catch you off guard, Shamaro. So here's how it goes. We know Nemo, right? We know Nemo. He's one of the best players to come out of Japan. He was maining JP for this tournament, for the Last Chance qualifiers. Unfortunately, he was eliminated in the first round of the losers bracket. Ended up falling short. He got swept 2-0 by Moke of Japan, who was maining Chun-Li in that matchup. So, very unfortunate to see Nemo being eliminated so early on in the Last Chance qualifiers. But things get more interesting from here. Yamaguchi, also from Japan, he was repping our boy DJ, and unfortunately, he was eliminated in the second round of the losers bracket. He was beaten by Hibiki, who is also from Japan, but was repping Lily for this tournament. So quite an interesting matchup there, DJ versus Lily. Again, that was a 2-0 sweep. So with
I'm beginning to wonder if the two named characters are cursed at this point.
I honestly have absolutely no idea. We know how crazy JP is, and we know just how crazy DJ can be.
Oh yeah, especially with his grab, it's insane.
Yeah,
but yeah, like some of the top Japanese players with those characters being eliminated in the qualifiers, that's pretty surprising.
Yeah, and we're talking about talent who have gone on and won some of the biggest fighting game tournaments in recent memory, for crying out loud. So it's definitely a shocker to see that both Nemo and Yamaguchi were not able to get out of the losers bracket. But to me, the biggest shock that came during this, we all know the one and only beast, Daigo Umehara. We all know Daigo, one of the most legendary Street Fighter players of all time. I don't think the competitive fandom for Street Fighter would be where it is today if not for Daigo.
And especially not without his incredible performance in that one tournament where he just basically blocked all of Chun-Li's super.
Yep, Evo moment number 37, baby. It lives on in infamy. But the saddest part here, Daigo didn't even make it into the brackets.
Oh my god.
He didn't even make it into the brackets, man.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm just as shocked as anybody else because, we all hold Daigo in high regards as pretty much one of, if not the most legendary Street Fighter competitor to have ever come out of Japan. And knowing how proficient he is when he's playing as Ken, that, if that's not a shock to the system, I don't know what is, man. I really don't.
I wonder if this might be a little tidbit of things to come. Like maybe the old guard of the fighting game scene is starting to drop off, and maybe we're gonna be seeing some new talent rise to the surface.
It's very possible. I mean, Daigo's been going at it for well over a decade now, and even to this day still remains, in tip-top shape as one of the very best that this game has to offer in terms of competitive players. But yeah, just really unfortunate that both Nemo and Yamaguchi were not able to advance further in the losers brackets, and that Daigo wasn't even able to get into the brackets at all. So it really bites, but you know what? It's still early in the year. Just because Daigo didn't make it into the brackets for the last chance qualifiers doesn't mean that we're not going to see him again down the road as 2024 progresses.
Totally.
So that right there is all it is for Capcom Cup X. The stage eliminators will be taking place starting tomorrow. It's going from the 20th to the 22nd, so that's from this Tuesday to this Thursday. By the time this episode is uploaded, we'll probably be smack dab in the middle of the stage eliminators. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything pans out. And
Wolf, just for those listening at home, where for these elimination rounds, where can they see these awesome matches play out?
Yes. So all of the matches can be streamed actually mainly through Twitch, but you'll also be able to watch the streams through Facebook Live and through YouTube as well. So you'll be able to catch all of this incredible content on those platforms. Again, primarily on Twitch, but you'll also be able to watch it through YouTube and through Facebook Live. Just go to the Capcom Fighters YouTube channel or their Twitch channel or their Facebook. You'll be able to watch it from there.
Nice. We'll definitely be keeping up with those guys when we're not working.
Yes, absolutely. And with that, we shift over to the other major tournament that was going on, Genesis X. Now, when I say that Genesis X was stacked, I mean it was stacked there was actually a separate part of Genesis X specifically dedicated to the Smash Bros. Franchise. You literally had all four mainline entries having tournaments. The OG, Melee, Brawl, Ultimate. They were all going on this past weekend. There were well over 800 players in attendance for these respective tournaments.
That's gotta be some kind of record there, Wolf.
Yeah, it's insane, but at the same time, it goes to show just how competitive Smash Bros. Is and just how huge
I know, like, all
the
those
competitive
scene
is.
That say Smash Bros. Is dying, like, what do they know? Like, this is just proof that the Smash Bros. Competitive scene is still alive and kicking.
Exactly, and considering the fact that we are going to be seeing Smash Bros. Again, if I remember correctly, we're going to be seeing it again at EVO later on this summer.
Naturally.
It's going to be crazy, man. But yeah, that's a whole different beast. There were also a few side tournaments that were going on. Capcom versus SNK2 was featured there, as well as Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. That was also featured there. But we're gonna focus strictly on the main tournaments that took place at Genesis X, because that on its own was crazy enough. So first up, yes, we're still on the topic of Street Fighter. Street Fighter 6 was showcased at Genesis X, and it was PR Balrog of the United States who defeated Mothman, also of the United States, 3-1 in the grand finals. And this matchup was a very interesting one. Balrog was playing as Judy, Mothman was maining Cammy. Holy cow. Like, if that's not an insane matchup, I don't know what is, man.
Yeah, like, I can definitely see how that would be just crazy to look at. Like, I mean, both Jury and Cammy, like, they are by far the most mobile fighters you can find in the game, in most Street Fighter games, in fact. And so just, it, like, I unfortunately never got to see these tournaments, guys. I'm getting this all secondhand from Wolf, but I can just imagine how crazy a Jury versus Cammy final match would be.
Definitely. And I mean, the trip to the grand finals for these two players was insane. Mothman was actually knocked out of the winner's bracket and into the loser's bracket, losing 3-2 in the semifinals. On the winner's side, he had to claw back with a 3-1 win in round 2 of the loser's bracket, and then did back-to-back sweeps to earn his spot in the grand finals. Like, that is insane, man.
That is pretty impressive. Like 2 straight sweeps just to get up to the finals. Like, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, just to get to the grand finals, and as, like, just being able to shoot your way all the way up into the grand finals by doing back-to-back sweeps after clearing 3-1 in the previous round. Like, that's impressive, dude. Like, I'm speechless. I'm already speechless about this, but unfortunately those back-to-back sweeps leading up to the grand finals were not enough to secure the win. So congratulations to PR Balrog for winning that tournament. And actually, there was a Canadian competitor that was competing in this tournament as well, goes by the name of Riddles, and he mains Luke in Street Fighter 6. Unfortunately, though, he failed to make the top 8. He actually ended up finishing 9th in the entire tournament.
So close.
So close, man. So close. So, unfortunately for our man Riddles, could not make it into the top 8. And that would have been interesting too, because none of the top 8 players, there's actually no signs of Luke anywhere in the top 8. Actually, no, never mind. I'm mistaken. There's one player. Only one player was using Luke in the top 8. We also saw Rashid, Ken, and Blanca, as well as Lily, alongside Jury and Cammy, who showed up in the grand finals. So there is that for Street Fighter 6. The next one is Guilty Gear Strive. This one was on a heck of a showcase. the grand finals had 2 sets. It was first to 2, which makes perfect sense. And again, more domination from the United States of America. Brony defeats Jonathan Tene in an All-American matchup. Brony took the first set in a 3-0 sweep. The second set was as close as it could possibly get. 3-2 was the final score in the second set.
Wow.
So, absolutely insane. And basically, pretty much a mirror scenario to what happened with Balrog and Mothman in the SF6 tournament. Tene ended up staying in the winner's bracket. Brony gets knocked down and again had 2 sweeps to get into the grand finals, along with a 3-1 win in the third round of the loser's bracket. So
wow, that is crazy.
Yep, it goes to show just how hard you really need to work for these opportunities to get into the grand finals, because, you never know if that's going to be the moment for you. And Brony was able to make the comeback possible after losing 3-1 in the semifinals of the winner's bracket, being knocked down to the loser's bracket, and working his way back up to win the whole thing. It's incredible, man. It's absolutely incredible.
And for the grand finales, what characters did we see in the matchup?
Oh, boy. For that one, see, this is where I would need your help on this, because, I know absolutely nothing about Guilty Gear Strive, but from what I'm seeing, Brony was using Angie, and Jonathan was using Saul. So, I have absolutely no idea on how either of these characters play, but fear not, because we will be diving into Guilty Gear later on as the year progresses. So
Indeed.
At least that way I won't look like a complete idiot here.
But I can help you there with one. I'm not sure about the first character, but Soul Bad Guy. He's like the main character of Guilty Gear proper, and from what I can tell, he's like a zoner / Shota style character. So
okay.
He's basically the Ryu of Guilty Gear, essentially.
Okay, well that definitely makes a lot more sense. That narrows it down. I appreciate you bringing that up, because again, I know nothing about this. So once we dive into this, at least I'm not going to look like a completely clueless dummy here. So moving on from Guilty Gear, we also had a Tekken 8 tournament at Genesis X. This one was nuts. The winner was Fear of Silence. He defeated Incerity once again. This was an All-American matchup. I think you guys can clearly begin to define the pattern that's going on here. But this was probably one of the most interesting Tekken matchups that I have ever seen. Fear of Silence was using Dragunov, while Incerity was using Hwoarang. So, yeah, quite an interesting matchup. And actually, both of these players did end up winning their semifinal matches. And the grand finals, it wasn't the first time they face off in this tournament. Because the two of them won their semifinal matches, they met in the winners' finals, and Fear of Silence swept Incerity 3-0. So Incerity gets bumped down to the losers' final, wins that match 3-1, goes in for the rematch, exact same result. Another 3-0 sweep from Fear of Silence.
Well, I mean, I guess it's no surprise, since Dragunov is, even after the balance patch, he is, one of the upper-tier characters.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And you know what? I did not, this is the really weird thing, because I'm noticing a pattern here. Each of the semifinal matches that these guys played in, they both won it 2-0. They both won it 2-0, so I don't know if it's purely coincidental, or if the semifinals was basically foreshadowing what was going to happen,
I don't
But
know, man. Like we've been seeing a lot of mirroring with most of the tournaments in Genesis X, so it's hard to tell.
yeah, it is very, very hard to tell. But nonetheless, one of the most exciting Tekken matchups that I have ever seen. Dragunov versus Warang. We're gonna have to try that out for ourselves. See which character
Indeed,
is
we will have
superior.
to, and I am definitely gonna try to take you down with Warang.
Yeah,
The
we'll
mute
we'll
Russian is
see.
yours, my friend.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's interesting because Warang, he's a character I've never really touched, to be honest with you. But I do consider him to be a wild card character because, like, anything can basically happen with this guy. So,
Mm,
it's gonna be pretty cool to match
yeah,
up with you one on one, see how
from what
that
I've seen,
goes.
like what I've seen of Warang, he's basically like an old school karate guy as well. He's basically got lot of fists and kicks, really meaty kicks essentially. And personality wise, you can kind of think of him as the Asian equivalent of Paul Phoenix,
Okay.
essentially.
Okay.
Seriously, like these guys will both like in their victory animations, they will both like get on their bikes and just ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, there you go. Makes perfect sense. But yeah, that was probably one of the most intense grand finals that I've ever seen since the global finals for the Tekken World Tour earlier on last
Mm-hmm.
month. Absolutely
Yeah.
insane. But now that brings us to another game that I'm not too familiar with. I'm sure you can help me out with this, Shimaro. Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising was also showcased.
Oh wow. Okay, so we're getting into territory that I am semi-familiar with. Granted, I've only, like, to all of you listening, I have not played the game because it's very Japanese exclusive, that the mobile game. So I don't have a good grasp of all the characters, but I have watched at least the first half of season one of the anime spin-off show. So I know something of it. So, Wolf, how about you run us through what happened, and I'll try to give you play-by-play as I can.
Yep, no problem. So, as expected, like I said, there's a pattern going on here. Once again, the grand finals matchup was All American. It was Vermin Miller versus Will B. And actually, Vermin Miller was using Siegfried and let's see, who was the other one he was using here? Siegfried and Fairy. Vermin was using those two, and Wilby was using Narmaya for this tournament.
All those characters, I don't think I ever came across in the anime, so I got nothing as far as what their movesets are like. So we'll just say that they're top tier characters since they were used in tournaments.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
But
well, we really need to get our hand, like, well, more specifically, you need to get your hands on Versus so we can start
yes,
workshopping these guys.
definitely. We need to dedicate a lot of hours to labbing these characters so that we know how they play. So yeah, but this was just a straight up smackdown in the grand finals. Vermin Miller wins the grand finals both sets, and I want everyone to let this sink in for a second. Not just you, Shamaro, but everyone who's listening as well. Let this sink in for a minute. Both sets were clean sweeps. 3-0
Holy
in
cow!
3-0 in both sets. I don't know.
That's just
I don't know
that's
how
like
the heck that's even possible.
that's just embarrassing. In the grand final, that's just embarrassing.
Yep, and this was exactly a mirror situation of what happened with Tekken 8. Also, that's
Oh,
another recurring
don't tell me we
theme.
got another person who got schlupped down to the losers bracket and then clawed their way back up.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's
Oh,
exactly that. Vermin Miller and Will B won their respective semifinal matches. Again, 2-0 for both of those sets. Will B actually won the winners finals 3-1 and bumped Vermin Miller down into the losers finals. So, I guess it's pretty much safe to say that Vermin Miller got his revenge in probably the most satisfying way possible.
mm-hmm.
Because I don't know how, like, you can't script this stuff, guys. Like, you literally cannot script this.
Guy just went full Ultra Instinct on him.
Exactly. How does one even set this up? Like, this, just looking at the stats alone, it's just it's mind-boggling, but then you say it out loud and it's 10 times as mind-boggling. Like, how does anyone do that?
Yeah, it just goes to show how you can't script this at all.
Yeah, it's insane, man. It's absolutely insane, and trust me, we are not done with the clean sweeps yet. Because the final major game that was showcased at Genesis X was Under Night In-Birth 2. So
another game which we really need to get our hands on.
Yes. So our grand finalists, Mario and Prem, both of the United States. Mario was using Wagner. Prem was using Eltnum for this grand finals. And yeah, once again, this was again another mirror situation. They both yeah, I don't even need to explain it this time. I don't even need to explain it.
Yeah, I think we get the gist. One fell out from the winners bracket and clawed their way back up into the grand finals.
Exactly. Right. And for Mario, won the whole thing, but he did it with he actually did it with 3 straight clean sweeps en route to winning the whole thing. He beat Mr. B in the semifinal match of the winners bracket 2-0. He beats Prem in the winners finals 3-0. Prem meets him for his rematch in the grand finals 3-0 for Mario.
What the hell are these guys drinking?
I really don't know, but I don't know, man. I'm running out of words to use here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, this is just
God.
3 clean sweeps. That's in a tournament insane. Like that's just insane. Like,
yeah.
Like, I think we at this point we just need to declare him like the new god tier Under Night champion, essentially.
Why not? You know what? If we were to create a tier list of the very best fighting game esports players, a whole bunch of the players that I just mentioned are going to be in a tier of their own. They're going to be in a god tier. Because you'll have S tier, you'll have S plus, you'll have S double plus, then you have god. All the players that I just listed here that won, they're all going to be in the god tier.
Yeah, well, I think at this point we just need to start making our own pedestals for like who we think is the god of each game. Like I think it's not even a matter of like who wins the tournament. It's a matter of like who just pops off the most.
Yeah, because like honestly, like when I was taking notes, for all of this and just making sure that I could remember everything, like. I was bewildered, man. I was beside myself. I literally had to double take at least once for each of these when I was putting my notes together for this. I'm just like, dang, how is this possible? Like, are these players secretly robots? Do they have like some sort of chip implemented into their brains or something? Like, that just goes to show just how insane the competitive scene can be. And like, honestly, it also goes to show just exactly why these tournaments are so fun. Anything can happen, including stuff like this. And it's like, if you were to tell me, before I got into fighting games, if you were to tell me that something like this was going to happen one day, I would have called you crazy.
Same. Like honestly, Wolf, if we're going to get into our own local tournaments at some point, like just... Like I know the X here in Toronto had a fighting game tournament last year, so maybe they might do that again, and we could enter that as the KINC team. But yeah, if we're gonna get into that scene at some point, we gotta start training up and bring our in game because this is just nuts.
Yeah, and I mean, God forbid if we actually bump into any of these guys at one of those tournaments, you know we're getting our asses kicked.
I mean, at least we'll get our asses kicked by the best. Like,
that's a good point.
Like if you're gonna get beat, at least get beat learning something from the best.
Yes, exactly. There is nothing better than being able to play against some of the very best in the world and being able to, take something positive away from that and use it to make yourself better. So
I mean, like, if you can at least get one hit in on them, like, I call that a win.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Or even like if you're able to even just like counter a really powerful move from them, like I would chalk that up as a win as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's all about the little wins, man. It's all about the little wins sometimes, but yeah, that is our coverage of the last chance qualifiers for Capcom Cup X, as well as the major tournaments from Genesis X as well.
Absolute madness. That it was.
Freaking madness, bro. Freaking madness. But before we continue, there was an article that came up just the day before the last chance qualifiers began. And
oh yes, there was some controversy as to the not the brackets but the groups.
Yes, the groups that were set up for the stage eliminators that'll be happening later this week. For those of you who know, like you guys already see where this is going, but for those who don't know, all these groups, the players were confirmed for these groups through draws, basically. So basically, pulling out names pretty much. And Group F features some of the best players on the competitive fighting game scene right now, but here's where things start to get a little unsettling, and here's why people are up in arms about this. Mena RD and Kaba. These are two of the best players from the Dominican Republic, and they are also very close friends, just like myself and Shamaro, as well as Pharaoh. And they are just outright some of the best Street Fighter players in the world to emerge from the Dominican Republic. And they're going to be facing each other in the starting rounds of the event. And yes, I understand. I wholeheartedly understand that this is a tournament and you got to be ready and willing to take on anyone and everyone to get as far as you can. But, like, these are two very prominent and popular players who have a huge fan base. And they're going to be going against each other not even in, like, the winners' finals or even the grand finals. This is going to be starting right at the beginning of the tournament. This is way before the top 16.
So it's a case of we're getting the dessert before we get the meal, essentially. We're getting spoiled. But then again, like, in my opinion, that's not necessarily a bad thing because, like, sure, these guys are established, but you know, if one of them gets taken out in the first group eliminations, then that just leaves the room for like new talent to rise to the surface. I mean, like, this is the new Street Fighter, so I think it's not a bad thing that we're going to be seeing some new names rise up.
That is fair. That is a good point, but there's one thing that we all need to remember, and I'm going to get to that in a second because the controversy doesn't stop there with Mena and Cabas. We also have Angry Bird, who established themselves as an even bigger force to be reckoned with when they won the SF6 tournament at EVO last year. So not only do we have two of the best players from the Dominican Republic in Group F, but you also have the winner from last year's EVO SF6 tournament, along with Mena, who actually, for those who don't know, was the runner-up in that same tournament at EVO last year, and was also the champion from last year's Capcom Cup. So you've got all of these elite top-tier talent, and this is the point that I want everyone to remember, is that only the winners and the runner-ups from each of these 8 groups go on to the top 16 next weekend. So that's why people are so up in arms about this, because you've got 4 elite talent who may not even make it into the top 16 come the end of the stage eliminators on Thursday.
I mean, that's the thing with random draws. Like, you never know what you're going to get, and sometimes you just get crappy situations like this where you see all your favorites smushed into one group.
Yeah, so it's... Honestly, I have no clue how the stage eliminators are gonna unfold, but if there's anybody out there who wants something to have something to keep an eye on, it's definitely going to be Group F. The world is going to have their eyes on Group F to see who wins, who comes up second, because those are the 2 spots that will ultimately matter. Those 2 spots are going to get you into the top 16. And with this big of a stage, because remember, this is the 10th iteration of the Capcom Cup tournament. So with a stage this big, like, it just completely re-personifies and redefines that term of anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the other big piece of news regarding Capcom Cup X. And so now, now that I've blabbled on for Lord knows how long, I'll bring it over to you now, Shamaro. We'll change things up a little bit here.
Yeah, guys. So moving on to our game news segments. So we have a few updates about a new release. You guys may have remembered we touched last time on the new Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash game. It has gotten some mixed thoughts as far as fans playing it. Bandai Namco, like, those guys are suckers for being perfectionists about their fighting games most of the time, and like an anime fighter like Jujutsu, it's as big as this. Like, it's hard to really say that they were going to come out of the gates like super bad, but
yeah.
I don't think. But it seems like, according to the fans, it doesn't seem like that they came out with their best showing right out of the gate. Because according to Pharaoh, while he's not here today, he was able to fill me in on some of the details. Pharaoh told me that apparently some players were being a bit nitpicky about some bugginess in the game, and how the roster wasn't super huge, and how, like, apparently in this game, like it's a 3D arena fighter, and apparently like aerial attacks are all the rage in this game, apparently.
Yeah.
And they're kind of essential to like keep in the fight. And apparently only a select few characters are the few have actually have aerial moves.
Huh.
So it's been a very interesting balancing controversy here. Like, obviously it's Jujutsu Kaisen, like, fans are just gonna be fans and love it no matter what, but I think some of the more fighting game enthusiasts players might have a few things to say. But of course, like, it's only been out for like a week or two, so it's gonna, like, we'll just have to wait and see how the patches come out and how these things might get fixed. Plus, like, DLC passes are a thing, so the roster is inevitably going to get bulked up a little bit. So I don't think the small roster argument is really valid, since Bandai they love coming up with DLC all the time.
Yeah, and like here's my stance on it. I can see this definitely being a comparison to what happened with Mortal Kombat 1 when it first launched. A lot of people said that it was unpolished, that they felt like there was stuff missing from the game, that it just felt like it was a little bit above bare bones, in a sense. But like, we all know that now things are getting fixed. As a matter of fact, we all know that Ed Boon and NetherRealm Studios are working as hard as they can to improve things. But like you said, the game has only been out for roughly about a week. And so I think maybe the reason why people are really nitpicky about this is because of the fact that Tekken 8 just released like roughly about a month ago.
That is true. Like after seeing the polish of Tekken 8, it's hard to go back to the anime fighters and see them as polished, especially when they're more about the flashiness than the actual mechanics of the game.
Yeah, so with the fact that we're now pretty much up on a month post-launch for Tekken 8, I think people were hoping to, kind of see that same level of, flashiness and polished visuals and stuff like that we got with Tekken 8, because so far everyone's loving Tekken 8. The reviews are incredible, the ratings are incredible, easily going to be a contender for fighting game of the year. But yeah, I think a lot of people at this point feel let down at the fact that Bandai Namco went from pretty much like hitting the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow with Tekken 8 to, almost kind of like just barely staying afloat in the water with Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash. So I don't know, what other people might feel about it, but to me, at the end of the day, the only thing that truly matters is whether or not you actually enjoy the game for what it is. Because you can plus, nitpick at stuff all day long, but ultimately, at the end of it all, it's about how you personally feel about the game. Do you enjoy playing it? Do you enjoy what the game has to offer? Like that's basically it at the end of the day.
True, and again, this is a brand new IP in terms of a fighting game. Sure, it's kind of bullied off of the Naruto Ninja Storm games, but at the same time, Bandai obviously wants to make it its own unique thing. So it's gonna take some trial and error for its first outing. So look at Street Fighter. Its first game, no one ever remembers that game. They remember the sequel.
No one ever remembers it.
I think this harshness that people have been getting on Curse Clash is maybe a little bit unfair. Granted, fans should, and they obviously will, give feedback as to how the game can improve. But I think this level of hate that we're seeing right now, I think it's a bit unfounded. I think people just need to chill out and take a step back.
Yeah, I think it's completely unnecessary. I get some of the anger could be because of the fact that people just don't want to play MK1 anymore and want to find other fighting games to play, explore some new titles and stuff like that. I understand that, but it's just like you said, the volume of that hate, it's just it's unnecessary, it's uncalled for.
Yeah, guys, if you want a good 3D arena fighter, the Ninja Storm series is right there, and they got a crap ton of entries in their roster. Or you could always just go to Tekken, which has got a great game out right now. That's a thing. And then of course we got the indie scene where they a hit game comes out every 3 months or so. So just if you're not feeling Curse Clash right now, step away from it, go find something else, and then come back to it and see how it improves later on as the patches and DLC come out.
Exactly. And again, no game is ever going to end up being perfect. I don't really think there's a fighting game out there or an iteration of a fighting game that one could consider to be the perfect game. I don't think that exists. I don't think it does.
No. Look at Street Fighter 2 in all its iterations. Fans will die on their hills as to which one is the best, and that could be said for most fighting games out there. Some people loved the first outings of the games and how janky they were and how fun that made them, and then
Yep.
others like later polished games. So there really is no pleasing everyone with a single game. It's just a matter of finding the games that you like and playing them because you like them, not because other people tell you that it sucks or that it's great. Just if it brings you joy to play the games that you play, then that should be enough.
Exactly, because this is what video games were meant for. It's meant for having fun. And if you spend all day or the majority of your day, on your phone or on your laptop or something, and just, tweeting out your hatred for the game on Twitter or on Reddit or whatever. Like,
it's just wasted energy. Like you could be using
exactly.
that time. Like you just be using that time to go onto games that you do love a lot and just get better at those. Like, come
Exactly.
on, people.
Your energy can be better utilized. Like, just don't be a keyboard warrior and start whining and nitpicking about stuff and whatnot. Just relax, let it go, and just play video games, man. Video games were meant to be fun. And
Yes,
let's face it, no one is ever gonna have fun if they spend more of their time tweeting their displeasure about the game rather than playing a game that genuinely brings them joy.
exactly.
So, with that though, um, what should we turn to at this point? I am,
Well,
I'm running out of
well,
energy here because I'm so into it.
yeah, I hear you, Wolf. So, I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen, yes, bottom line, like it does have a couple kinks in its initial release, but we'll keep following it and we'll see how it improves like through the patches because like it's Bandai Namco, like those guys are dedicated to making sure that their games are polished. So this might not be the first, like, might not be the best first outing for Curse Clash, but that Bandai is going to come back and make it better. So we'll see what happens.
For
Moving on
sure.
though, moving on from new games to new consoles, we have the Nintendo Direct that's coming out. If it hasn't already come out by the time of this episode being published, is going to the next day or so. We should be seeing either this month or next month the announcement of the next Switch system, which might be called the Switch 2 or what have you. Like that's just the placeholder that the unit has been using for the last like months
Yeah.
since since the rumors got started. So I guess the real question for this is like with all the rumored improvements that we could see in the Switch 2, what does that mean for fighting games on the Switch? Because like granted, it's not like people don't really play that like a lot of fighting games on the Switch right now aside from Smash Bros. But that doesn't mean that there aren't good fighting games on the Switch. Like as we'll show you coming up on our YouTube channel in the coming months, like there are great stuff and we featured a lot of those a lot of the stuff already on our here on the podcast in our indie spotlight. There are a bunch of good fighting games out there on the Switch, and I'm wondering now like what improvements could this new Switch bring, and what impact could that have on what fighting games we get out of this new console?
I think maybe I think for me the biggest thing would be probably the hardware limitations, because that's one of the key things when it comes to making a good video game, is making sure that not only it plays well, but it actually looks appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like that's one of the main things that's going to get you hooked on a video game is how good it looks, right? And so,
Exactly.
like, if you look at any sort of AAA fighting game title, a bunch of them do look pretty good on the Switch, but then there are others that are just so big and stuff like that the limitations of the hardware come into effect. A perfect example would be Mortal Kombat 1.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I was going to say. But of course, that's just the right like the Switch we have now. But apparently, as I've heard through the rumors, and this is mostly from the YouTuber Nintendo Land, we could be seeing like this new Switch. We could be seeing with a lot of better like hardware capabilities, and it's rumored that this new Switch could be as good visually as like the PS5 or PS4. So I think it's a safe bet that we could see some more high HD res fighting games brought into this new Switch system. Like we could finally get like I could finally around to playing like like some of the old Tekken games on my Switch which would be awesome. Or
Yeah.
or we could or we could see like some better like Mortal Kombat acts. Like sure, like we got 11 out on the Switch before, but again, like hardware limitations weren't really with it there, but who knows? Maybe with the new Switch, it could get better, because apparently there like another rumor I've heard is that um, the Nintendo Switch, like other Nintendo consoles of yore, it could be that not only do we have backwards compatibility, but we could have like a thing where the new Switch enhances the old Switch games and makes them look better.
Yeah, that honestly, that would be really freaking amazing. Like
Yeah,
that's one of the big
yeah, like
things for
that's
me.
yeah, like that's like those are the two of the bigger rumors that I've heard like floating around YouTube, and I mean like I think if those changes get implemented into this new Switch, if those get improved upon, then I think we'll see like a lot more like AAA fighting games that would usually be reserved for like the PlayStation and Xbox finally come to the Switch.
Yeah, and like honestly, it would just be with regards to this new version of the Switch, like also being able to feature like backwards compatibility as well. Like that would also be really, really amazing. And I don't know. There's so many unknown variables about this new version of the Switch, and I feel like we could go on and on for hours about this, but yeah, I guess for me, the big thing that I would be looking for is the improvements on the hardware capabilities, and also seeing backwards compatibility as well, because it's one thing to be able to play your favorite games, but it's another thing altogether when you find out that a particular console does not feature backwards compatibility and you have to go out of your way to like spend however much on the console that the game was meant to be played on.
Mm-hmm. But like Nintendo and how they handled like the DS systems, we should hopefully be seeing backwards compatibility. Like I'm pretty sure there's like a 95% chance of it having of the new Switch having backward compatibility with the old Switch. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to play our old Switch games on the new Switch.
Yeah, hopefully. And I really do hope that, as fun as cloud gaming is and having cloud storage, I really hope that they actually don't put it behind a paywall this time. Because,
Yeah, that like Nintendo online membership. I think it probably is going to be the same way because like it's Switch 2, so they're probably just going to be able to carry over a bunch of stuff from the original Switch. So it's probably just going to be continued onwards. But if they can make some changes to make some basic necessities like not behind a paywall, that would be a big improvement, definitely.
absolutely. Because then you'll probably bring in more customers to buy the Switch too, and that way sales will go even higher.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess yeah, with that said, how about we switch over to, I don't know if we have an indie spotlight planned for this week, do we?
We do actually, and I want to bring this to your attention. It's an oldie but goodie for those of you who have been on the indie scene for a while.
Oh.
It's the Nidhogg series.
Ah, okay, sweet.
Now, Wolf, I'm sure you must have heard of the Nidhogg series. Like, tell me, what have you heard so far of the Nidhogg series? Because there's the original first game, which is all the rage, and then there's the second game, which was a lot more, I wouldn't say it's better visually, but it's definitely got more high res graphics, like better pixel art.
I see. Um, Admittedly, I actually don't know the first thing about this franchise, so I would love to indulge in you elaborating on this and giving myself and our listeners whatever amount of information you can give about this franchise.
Not a problem. So, Nidhogg, essentially, for those of you who either don't remember or have forgotten or don't know at all, is essentially a 1v1 fighting game where it's kind of like if you put Soul Calibur, put it on 2D plane, and made it like put like a bunch of different rooms in it. So basically, like you have an option between like the original game had an option between I believe 4 different stages, and
Oh,
you would start in this little mid stage. And the thing is, there were very sensitive controls to like handle your sword because like each character has a sword, and they can basically have it like high, mid, low, and you basically had a button that like allow you to just stab at your enemy, like poke, like this game is very like again this is not a good game where it's like if you're learning how to do footsies and poking, it's actually a very good game for that.
oh,
And so basically,
nice.
like you have your yellow player and your orange player, and you poke each other, and either you stab your player, but you can also knock your opponent's sword out of his hand, and even if no one has the sword on, you can still attack each other by just basically tackling each other to the ground and ripping each other's heads off.
Holy.
But here's the thing: so once one player dies, then then the player who won, they need to start advancing towards the opposite end of the stage, and they'll keep going, and throughout each room in the stage, the opponent who died will keep respawning until they in turn can kill their opponent, and then that person will then have to start making their way to the opposite end of the stage to reach the goal, which ironically is basically the goal of the game is basically just to sacrifice yourself to the Nidhogg worm thing that flies around. So it's kind of it's a bit nonsensical and crazy, but it's fun, and the environments that they came up with for this game, like for the original, were like sure there were just 4 of them, but they were cool, like they were interesting enough to like keep a good amount of replayability loops going. And it's been featured on a bunch of different in-game YouTube channels, and we'll probably feature it on our channel at some point too. And it's just known as like a really it's not super well known, but it's definitely is somewhat known as a good classic indie game that it's basically the indie Soul Calibur essentially. And then of course we get the Nidhogg 2, which is I haven't played it myself honestly. I've only seen the trailer for it. But apparently they really amp up they keep the core formula of just 1v1 and you stab the opponent and then you run to the other side. But in Nidhogg 2, like aside from the upped pixel graphics, they also have different enemies to get into your way, and I think they also allowed you to pick up other weapons besides swords. So it gave a lot more depth and versatility to the game as far as I know.
That is absolutely incredible. Holy cow, dude.
Yeah, so it's definitely
amazing.
it's definitely very interesting indie, like oldie but goodie indie, and we will definitely be showing it. Wolf, I will definitely be kicking your ass there.
Probably
at some point. Yeah, but yeah, we'll get that on Steam because luckily it is for Mac, so we can definitely play that over our laptops. So yeah, look forward to that, and we will give you some good brutal Nidhogg goodness in the near future.
Awesome.
Anyway, moving on, Wolf. So I believe you found a really good article recently that has spawned our this week's discussion topic, like the promising future of platform fighters.
Indeed, yes. However, there is one thing that I do want to mention. We are running a little bit short on time here. So, unfortunately, it seems that this particular discussion will have to wait for probably for next week, because as I'm seeing here right now, I took up a vast majority of the time covering the tournaments from earlier, so I think with that we may just have to skip right ahead into our dream rosters, briefly cover those, and then we'll wrap things up.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, listeners, look forward to that discussion next week, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, dream rosters. Wolf, what is your dream roster for this week? Let's rapid fire this real quick to wrap this up.
Sounds good. Mine, very simple. Icons of 1980s music.
So you're continuing off of your old metal band icon thing from last week, essentially.
Pretty much, but I'm just going with 80s musicians in general. So I'm talking Bryan Adams, I'm talking Madonna, Michael Jackson, Elton John, I'm talking Wham, Dire Straits, Guns N' Roses, Huey Lewis, Motley Crue, Tom Petty, Pink Floyd even, Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, Salt and Pepper, Depeche Mode, all...
Def Leppard.
Yep, Def Leppard as well. Rick Astley, I believe Rick Astley falls into that category too.
I'm not sure if he's 80s or 90s, but I think no one will really care if you put him in or not. So.
Yeah, because everybody wants Rick Astley, right?
Yeah,
but
if he's not a main character in your game, he's definitely going to be an assist where he just rickrolls the opponent.
Yeah, pretty much, probably. I'm not exactly sure what the setup for the game might be. I think if anything, it could probably just be like this really goofy platform fighter where the stages are based off of scenery from various iconic music videos. Of course, all copyright would go to the original, users and stuff like that. But
Right, and of course, you know that like half of that, like half of the stages would be based off of Michael Jackson's videos because let's face it, like we're at least going to get Thriller and Smooth Criminal in there.
well, yeah,
At the very
definitely.
least.
But we don't want it to be kind of like, well, we absolutely, but we want there to be plenty of variety. We don't want it to be kind of like Smash Bros, where you have like a dozen Super Mario characters and stuff like that. As fun as that is, just want to make sure that there's plenty of variety and stuff like that, so that there's something for everybody. But
Okay.
yeah, simply put, my idea would be a platform fighter based off of 1980s music icons.
Cool. In that case, I also have a bit of a platform fighter idea in mind for this week. I
Oh,
thought, like with all your talk of NHL mascots and metal band mascots for the last couple of weeks, I thought I should I should get in on this, and so I'm going to say cereal mascots.
oh my god!
So we got the Rice Krispie
Ah,
Boys, we got Toucan Sam, we got Lucky from Lucky Charms, Tony the Tiger, all those good guys, and of course Kellogg's Rooster would be in there somewhere.
oh my gosh! That's
Yeah, and I can
insane.
just imagine. And I can just imagine the stages being based off of like the commercials, and of course it would also just be generic bowls of cereal stages as well. And I think the bowls of cereal idea could actually give like interesting terrain hazards for a game like this.
It actually kind of could, yeah. Like I could see maybe droplets of milk spill out onto the battlefield, and maybe it causes someone to slip and fall. Like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, or you're just like over a big bowl of cereal and you have to like balance on top of pieces of cereal that are floating on top of milk.
Oh my god, that'd be crazy. Oh my
That would be totally
lord.
crazy. And the beauty of this game and the beauty of this game like a game like this would be like just like all these characters were tailor made to be as unique as possible, and so that would give like infinite possibilities for like the matchups you get as far as like play styles. Like Tony the Tiger, you got like his little sports thing, so I could see him being like a rushdown character. Toucan Sam, like he's a more brainy character and puzzle solver. I can see him being more of a trap layer. Lucky from Lucky Charms, he is definitely more of a assassin type character, and Snap, Crackle, and Pop. I can definitely go see those guys being their own version of the Ice Climbers. So
Yep.
there's so much you could do with this idea.
That is freaking crazy. Oh my lord. That is nuts, man. I never would have thought in a million years that you would go towards a topic like that. That is unreal.
Seriously, Kellogg's, make my dream come true. Come on.
Oh man, I honestly kids would be flocking all over this thing, dude. They'd be flocking all over it.
They totally would. They totally would.
That's awesome, man. So that's it for us. 80s music icons for me. Beloved sugar cereal mascots for Shamaro. And yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode.
Yeah. Again,
Again,
sorry guys. Sorry that we could not get to our discussion topics. As Wolf said, he kind of got a little off the rails with the tournaments this episode, but we will be back with that talk to like next week when we do our next episode. Just as a reminder, we are now on episode 7 right now, and we are going to go into episode 8 next week. Holy crap, we are really getting into this season of TNF, and
for
we
sure.
hope you guys we hope you guys will keep tuned in and keep listening to us because we have a bunch of cool stuff to say, and we hope you guys like to hear it. So from all of us here at K9C, Pharaoh is currently fighting midterms right now, but I'm Shamaro.
I'm Wolfpack.
And we are Can Calamity, and this has been another episode of TNF. Thank you guys for listening. As always, stay warm. Well, maybe not too warm. The weather over here in the GTA is kind of warming up now.
Yep.
But yes, all the same, keep warm, stay safe, and as always, stay with me, Wolf.
Fight on, baby.
Fight on.
Fight on.
And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.
Yep. Have a good one, everybody.